On today's episode of the DeRaud-Messinger Show, we're discussing our winners and doing losers of the 2024 spring game. Longhorns fans, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. It's greatly appreciated. And check us out at HornSports.com for all the latest in Texas news. Now, Dylan, we're going to start, of course, with the winners. No participation trophies here. These individuals, as I should say, did earn this status. But Dylan, who's your number one winner? I have a feeling who it is, but just say it anyway.
Well, outside of players, Devon, I got to say it's ESPN, Fox Sports, Bleacher Report. They're going to be eating this up, and it ties into who my number one winner is, Devon, as you can expect. Arch Manning. He gives us content to be able to talk about in April of all months. And plus, he looked great out there, Devon. I know Sark during the post-game conference, he was talking about how, obviously, Manning has a lot of athleticism, and that's what he wants to use at times, but they're really trying to get him to utilize his footwork in the pocket and make those clean throws. That you saw, Devon, he had two 75-yard bombs to receivers, and he just looked ultimately comfortable in that pocket. It does help that he can't be tackled, right? So there's still the spring game versus an actual game aspect of it, but he was near perfect outside of an interception and possibly having a game-winning drive, Devon, which would have encapsulated just really put a cherry on top for the entire spring game for, I'm guessing, every fan in that building. But yeah, he's the clear winner, just solidifying his spot as a backup, Devon, and putting Texas in a great spot that if Quinn Ewers, God forbid, gets injured or misses time like he has in these past two seasons, you've got Arch as a backup.
Dylan, as you said, I think the real winner is the Bleacher Reports on 3, ESPN, 24/7,
Yeah.
you name it, because they have something to talk about here. And as Dylan really nicely put it, he's still the backup. But with that being said, this was a really good performance for him, one that will be confidence inspiring, especially in front of all the fans, and inspiring for both him and for the fans, Dylan, because if a backup quarterback comes into the game this next season, I think fans will be a little more relaxed knowing that they saw a little snippet of some game action, Dylan, even if it was a scrimmage when it's all said and done. But additionally, just to say one last thing about Arch. He was in a hard position, Dylan, because if he did great, people are giving him applause and acclaim, but then it's like, why does Quinn Ewers have the job? And on the flip side, if Arch didn't do so well, it's going to be all tied back to it's just the family name of being a Manning. That is why he was projected as high as he was. So he's in a tough position, and he did the better of the two halves I listed out there. But 19 for 26 passing, 355 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So not too shabby. Dylan, did you have any other winners to note?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about Trey Owens, Devon, putting himself into that third-string quarterback position. I know Sark was ranting and raving about his performance in the spring game. That was good to see with the depth that Texas has and the talent level they have, where they have gunslingers at the quarterback position, even if, again, someone has to step in for Manning or Ewers, right? Like, it's just good to see the competition within the room, and Owens' performance just with his ability to be accurate and hit some deep bombs as well was good to see.
Yeah, Dylan, in terms of Owens, everyone loves the good old Mac Jones comparison. Now, I'm not saying that applies directly to Owens. However, this is a similar sort of scenario where Owens is on campus and he's not going to have to see the field, hopefully, for a good amount of time. But that's good for him too, Dylan. It gives him time to work on his game. But maybe Dylan, he doesn't even need to work on his game with how he performed in the spring game. 14 for 21, 228 passing yards, and 3 touchdowns. Just, he did work, and Dylan, the passes look nice. Similar to Arch, the deep ball was working, which Texas fans, it's been a tough couple years with the deep ball, but it seems like something's clicking. Dylan, maybe it's transferable to
That's
the game.
the
Day.
offense now. I mean, that's the offense that Sark wants to build with these elite receivers, at least speed-wise, Devon. Like, having gunslingers like this just down the ladder, I mean, that's huge for the system and a testament to what they've built so far in the past few years.
Well, speaking of receivers, do you have any winners from that group?
So I have 3 of them. I think 3 stood out just in the sense of what they were able to do on the field. Isaiah Bond is one, Devon. He's going to be the key playmaker on offense at the skilled positions for Texas. And you saw that with the 75-yard catch, as well as Again, the 3 catches and 98 yards. And then as you go down the list, you've got DeAndre Moore, who played really well, 3 catches for 93 yards and a touchdown. And then Ryan Wingo, Devin, you called in the beginning where you could possibly see him getting some playing time to start the season. This spring game kind of shows what he's capable of. You saw just the size. He matches up with older guys on the field, too, and he's just a freshman. He had 4 catches, 81 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Talk about a great performance out of him. I think he's practically the biggest winner out of the receivers, but those were the big 3 that really stood out.
Dylan, in terms of Wingo, he's one guy that's set foot on campus, and I don't know the last wide receiver that has just drawn so much hype on campus. I want to say it was a certain guy that transferred, Brew McCoy. Hate to bring out the PTSD in fans, but I don't think we've had a receiver so hyped since then. And I might be misspoken, Dylan, but that would be in my eyes unless I'm missing a major one. Now, with that being said, as you discussed, he did produce in a big fashion with those 4 catches, 81 yards, and 2 scores. And Dylan, like you said, he's a freshman. Freshman maybe isn't cutting it right. I mean, he should be in high school this semester, and he was doing his work on the field. So that's definitely something exciting to see. DeAndre Moore, 3 catches, 93 yards, and a score. I believe his touchdown was the first offensive touchdown in the game. And we've heard reports all spring about how well he's been performing in practice. Well, a nice way to see that is, of course, when it's on display in the spring game. Now, I did want to refute you, Dylan. You mentioned Isaiah Bond, who I'm big on for this upcoming season, and he put up the numbers ultimately, but that first half was not the half that he wanted to have. I believe he had 2 or 3 drops. But with that being said, a real winner, Dylan, picks himself up after those hard times and finds the end zone, and he did just that. Hopefully, for Longhorns fans, he does more of that in the coming months and maybe years. I don't know. I think he's NFL bound after this next season, Dylan. But defensively, did you have any winners to give out here?
You're going to have to help me out, Devin, with pronouncing his name so I don't just continue messing up everything. Edge rusher out of Westlake. Do you know who I'm talking about? We got 2 of them.
Yes. Colton Bosick.
Awesome.
You have the other
there
one?
you go. So
Okay.
Devin's my translator now. So this is perfect. So, 3.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack. You saw his size. You saw what he's capable of doing off of the edge. That's going to be huge for the depth of the team. Really liked what I saw out of him just defensively, Devin. I thought he was a big factor in it all. But plus, Alfred Collins, Devin, not every day you get to take one to the house. You got to put him on the winners list as well.
Yeah, Dylan, I don't know the last time he has scored a touchdown. Let's be honest, as you were saying, it's not a common occurrence to be A, a defender and scoring a touchdown, but B, on that D line and scoring a touchdown. So when that happens, Dylan, you go buy a lottery ticket and you really bank on that's going to be the greatest day of your life. Now, I don't know if Alfred did that, but next time he elects to score a touchdown, he can have a conversation with me and I'll set him straight. But all jokes aside, on that D line, the one winner I had that really stood out, of course, Collins got his due with a touchdown. But Colton Bosick, like you said, covering him at Westlake, Dylan, we were very impressed with his skills and just his intangibles. That guy is a tall man, and he looks like a D end. It's been a tough, I think, year, Dylan, for him. He's been banged up with injuries, hasn't been able to even see the practice field, I believe, too much. But the spring, it looks like he's back in the groove of things, Dylan. The boot from his ankle is no longer there. And guess what? When it's no longer there, he's getting to the quarterback. He was attributed to have 1 sack and 3.5 tackles for a loss. However, I do think he got a hand on a quarterback. So I'd give him 2 sacks, Dylan. As you said, no touch rules for QBs. So all you have to do is tap him on the shoulder, and that counts as a sack. But it was nice to see him come off the edge. Texas needs somebody to step up from the edge. He might be the guy to do it, Dylan, helping out Ethan Burke, Baron Sorrell, etc., just adding some depth to that room. But Dylan, any more winners, or should I get to our unfortunate side of the list here?
Let's sadly get to our losers here, Devin.
All right. Dylan, losers. Who are you going to break the bad news to?
I think we got to start with the secondary, Devin. I think you got some stuff to say on them too. But again, they got They got lit up by Manning and Owens, right, for most of the game. Which this is one of those things that you could convince me that it's purely that the Texas offense is just that good, and no one can compete against that, right? So we could be onto something there. On the flip side, though, from what we saw, kind of the same issues, getting burnt deep, not having a safety over the top, big plays happening back there, guys just coming across the middle, being open there as well, being able to move the chains pretty easily. So those are some big concerns there. Obviously, some highlights. Kobe Black had an interception. Delaney McDonald, Devon had the interception on Manning at the Hail Mary attempt to end the game, right? So good spots there, too, with the takeaways. But again, statistically, it was not in their favor for most of the game.
I mean, Dylan, jokingly, Alfred Collins should have tried to apply for an internal transfer to get himself in that secondary room because one play pretty much for him that he made in that first drive, one interception. But jokes aside, Dylan, there were guys like you were saying, Kobe Black, McDonald, etc., that were making plays in the secondary. But at times, just watching it in person, you're thinking, who is there covering, Dylan? You're seeing the deep ball to DeAndre Moore, and I was thinking, is there a man in his general vicinity? You know, you could have, I don't know, Dylan. You had a whole soccer field, pretty much a separation between the two, and a couple safeties just looked bad in coverage in terms of they had crossing routes, and they just pretty much stood still when the crosser came and just really skirted for touchdowns. It's a hard spot to be in, Dylan, but as you said, I'm not necessarily upset at those sort of plays, more so the broken coverage is deep because those are inexcusable. And the safeties, Dylan, it's still they're working in different guys. I'm not too worried yet. Now, if reports continue on in terms of a similar fashion that we saw in the spring game, then I would be worried. But I haven't heard necessarily bad things from the spring, just with all the Sark pressers. Dylan, correct me if I'm wrong. Should we be worried?
I don't. Again, it's a young group. We knew this going into it, Devon. They're going to grow as the season goes along. Spring game against the backup quarterbacks, though, and getting torched like that, not the greatest feel. But again, the quarterbacks are a lot more confident in the pocket than they would normally be in just a regular game.
Yeah, they're not fearing that a Vosick blindside hit, more so a blindside tap on the shoulder. Dylan, was there any other losers from the night for you?
Yeah, Devon. And I want to preface this as this is our guy. We stand by him at all moments. And the reason I have him as a loser is just simply how well Manning played and what kind of spotlight it puts on him again. And that's going to be Quinn Ewers. And I'm saying this because I think Texas is in a really good spot compared to a lot of the other teams in the country. They've got a solid backup quarterback, right? That's when stuff hits the fan, right? And so from that perspective, it's a good thing that Manning is playing really well in the spring game and looks comfortable, and that shows the development that Sark, the coaching staff, have put into him freshman year and onward is really paying off from what you've seen in this game. It's just that Ewers, we knew he was only going to have a few snaps or even one full drive, right? There's a reason Arch was on his team, right? Yet the fact that it was a tip ball and a pick and that ended his day, not ideal. And there's going to be fans that are going to look at it as simply, a lot of the times it's going to be in the national perspective, people that are not around it. They're going to be like, well, why isn't the guy with the Manning name and seemingly more talented in some capacity, athleticism-wise, not starting, right? So that's why I have Ewers there. I still think he is the guy for the future this season. And Texas is in a really good spot. It's just when it comes to the national headlines and the spotlight's going to put on throughout the season, one bad throw and an interception, Devin, we're going to hear things on Twitter, maybe even broadcasters talking about Manning. I'm just waiting for the pick or missed throw. Stark talks to Ewers, and the camera just slowly pans to what Manning is doing on the sideline. So get ready for that now.
It sounds, Dylan, like you have a career as a producer, so you should put in some applications because that's next level thinking. Now, of course, we got to weigh the good with the bad here, but also you can't be putting too much weight into performances. Yet again, Arch Manning and Owens looked great out there. However, it was still a spring game. On the flip side, as Dylan's mentioning, Quinn Ewers did not look too great out there. Of course, Fans must breathe. It's a spring game. Dylan, I know. Don't forget. Don't hold your breath. You got to breathe. But I agree, for the narrative sake, Dylan, the Arch versus Quinn narrative that continues, not a great showing, especially when a lot of fans are craving just doing any sort of entertainment. And nationally, a lot of eyeballs were on that Texas spring game. And yet again, Dylan, start the anti-Quinn talk. But as we both are ardent fans of Quinn Ewers, no reason to worry. However, with that being said, excited about the potential of Arch in the near future. But Dylan, any other losers from the night, or have we wrapped it all up?
I think we're all winners, Devin. That was a great spring game to watch. Almost worried it wasn't going to happen.
The best spring game ever? Question mark.
Yeah, that's some are saying. Even Sark is saying that was the best spring game he's ever seen, right? So hats off to the team on that one.
At least
put together a show.
Yeah, at least for the Longhorns. I can't, of course, talk about every game ever, but it seems like we've never had a game that was that close and actually came down to the final, play or so. But Dylan, more importantly than our thoughts, who are your winners and losers of the Texas spring game? Let us know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, have a great rest of your day.